All right, so this is our continuous improvement presentation. Big thing about continuous improvement is their lessons learned, not criticism. Every big company in the whole world does continuous improvement programs. Not very many small companies do them. The big thing we got to get over with continuous improvement, the first hurdle is that they do come off as criticisms, and they do come off as, like, I know I did it right. The project turned out great. Why are we even doing this? That type of thing. But I'll go into different other slides of why continuous improvement is important. But I do want to avoid the bad parts of continuous improvement, in that there are not criticisms. And I do not mean to harass anybody with this presentation, but it's good to do from time to time because we add things. And it's been since last spring since we did it. So, not criticisms, lessons learned. So, it's DCS migration, it's go time. It's the goal is to provide the customer with a bug-free, clean, good feeling, feature-driven, robust DCS system, one that they will be proud of and brag about. So, in every aspect, when you do a project, when you do a task, when you do any part that you're in charge of, I want you to think, is my customer going to be proud of this? And is it going to be something that they're going to be able to brag about? Here's an example of when we've reached that goal. We've done that in the past. We've done it a few times in the past, quite a bit actually. Like Andy Miller down at Cornell P. He said, I will stand on top of my desk and persuade other plants to use your company and product. That is an example of a goal met. The customer is proud of it. He's willing to brag about it with his friends. How do we get there? Here's more example. I posted up on LinkedIn. Hey, we just got done with one. Andy Miller said, good guys, good product, happy. And then even in the comments, he wrote again a big, long testimonial right there. I'll let you guys read it. You can pause it and read it. But what a great compliment. Up to, I think by the time it was all done, 2,000 to 3,000 people seen this post. So it's a heck of a good way to get free advertisement. We don't have a very big sales team, so when we do this, it really helps marketing-wise and makes it easier for them to make a sale. So let's just keep that snowball rolling and reach our goals, and this is how we're going to do it. So just a little background. When we do continuous improvement, we try to think of roles. Like, you've got a role, so you've got a goal, and then there's the whole goal. So you got your goal right here. You've got to put your task down to reach your goal. Maybe you're in charge of server room setup, or maybe you're in charge of the DCS hardware setup. There's things you got to do to get that goal, but it's part of a bigger project, the DCS migration. So you got to think about the goal all the time. You got to keep the end in mind, is how they term that. Each task is part of the whole. So you forget the end goal. It diminishes the tasks. Maybe you'll forget a task. Maybe you'll put in the wrong task, or something that ends up setting the next guy up for failure. So the whole part of this continuous improvement is to kind of define these goals and define what success means, so that people know how are we going to put these puzzle pieces in. So keep the end in mind and check your work. Be proud of it, be relentless, and set your teammates up for success. So when you're done, is the client going to be proud of it? Is the client going to be able to brag about it? Here's a little koala. What do you mean you're done? Still time to double check your work, right? So part of continuous improvement is also participating in it. So at the end of the DCS migrations, I'm going to send you out this link. You'll be able to click on it, and you're going to go to it, and you're going to fill it out. It takes 5 minutes. It's no big deal. But I want your ideas to go in there, and then I'll take those ideas and I'll put them in the spreadsheet. There's also a Google Keep app out there. That's the way a lot of people like to keep their ideas on there if you want to share them. You can have a little notebook. Just have a notebook around. That's nice. Write it down. There's little notebooks that we bring along to the DCS migrations. some of these tasks you won't be able to fix them right there. Maybe you need a part or something. You're not going to be able to do it right then. But if you write it down, at least at the next one we'll be able to know, because you're not going to remember 2 weeks later. So write them down. We need to communicate them in these presentations. Take initiative, take the bull by the horns, and claim responsibility for fixing some of these approved ideas. So maybe it's not your role or whatever, but you can still write it down. You can still think, claim, execute, and check it. So take it, think about it, claim the idea, say, hey, I got this great idea, execute it. So once it's up here on paper, we got to do it. It's not just about, hey, I'm not just up here reading this for fun, and then check it. Doesn't make sense. Did it actually improve it? If not, go back to the old way. If it did improve it, let's do it every time until we figure out the next one. So here's a good graph of why continuous improvement is important. So this is continuous improvement, just little things, that's going better. Everybody does continuous improvement, whether you know it or not. We're always doing continuous improvement. Things get better all the time. The competition is getting better all the time. Trident's getting better. ICM's getting better. Everybody gets better. Very rarely does somebody just fall off the wagon unless they lose a bunch of really awesome employees and have no training or something. Very rarely will that go down, this blue line here. But what I'm trying to get to is this green or even the red line. So this is what we want to do, is how are we going to get these breakthroughs? We've had them already. If we went back to the old ways we used to, when we first did Dakota Ethanol 5 years ago, we're way down here, and I'd say Front Range and Cornell P are way up here. So what have these breakthroughs been? Making lists, dividing things up into roles, working with an electrician, those type of things have been huge. What are the next ones going to be? I don't know, training videos, those type of things. So if you understand this, these breakthroughs and the continuous improvement, this is going to be good. So this is why we're doing it. We're not doing this to get down on anybody. We're not doing this to stay on the blue line. We're doing this to get to the green, to the red line, because everybody's on the blue line. This is competition. If we just stay with competition, life's going to be tough. I want to be up here where things are better, faster, cheaper, smarter, prettier, those type of things. That's where we need to be. So notes for everybody, just customer etiquette. Part of the reason customers brag about us is because they like us. So they don't, even if everything's perfect and the DCS works great and the servers are beautiful and everything went in 2 hours and everything was done and everything, if they don't like us, they're still not going to brag about us. So we got to be nice. So we're here to serve the customer, not to lounge in front of them and make them watch us talk about each other when we're not busy. So when you're not busy, there's things you can do. If you're not very extroverted, you can just clean and sweep, or train somebody, or go to a different room and get to working on some programming or something. But they don't like people standing around talking behind people's backs and making crude jokes at other people. Kind of rubs them the wrong way. So, but don't ignore them when they talk. Talk with them when you can. Stand next to them. Start conversations. Smile at them. Train with them. Ask them if they've seen any problems. If you wait around and you don't ask for problems, they're gonna boil over with those problems. So say, hey, do you see anything you don't like? Those type of things. You might get a mouthful, but at least that mouthful came out and it didn't boil over and fester. Make a relationship with the client. Ask them about their kids, those type of things. Wear direct automation clothing, the shirt, wear your so they know who you are. If you have some swag, if you have some mouse pads, some fly swatters, some pens, leave those out. Organization is important, so while you're working, try to stay clean. When you're done, clean the affected areas you were in. Organize the cords, communicate your successes and failures with the client. So go in and do a victory lap. Say, hey, I'm all done with your computer setup. Does everything look nice? I wasn't able to do this, but I was able to do that. They're going to enjoy that, if they have time. You don't have to, if they look busy, you don't have to steal their time away from them, but those are the type of things you want to do. Drink and smoke, only where and when appropriate. So back at the hotel, they remember how you made them feel more than what you did. So if you can make them feel good, they'll remember you. Just the other day, I had to go back to Husker and I cleaned up a server room, and I hadn't been back there to do a lot of work in a while. It was the first time I seen an operator in a long time, and she goes, "Oh, I remember you because you're the guy that cleans all the time." Because I had my mop, I was mopping, and she's going, that made her feel good because I was mopping, and I made her feel like, you're important to me. I'm going to clean because you guys are important to me. And when she saw me mopping, she remembered that again. Oh, now I remember you because I had that mop. Conflict is good, but it has its time and place. So if, migrations are pretty heated, customers don't want to see you argue. Now, this isn't like a restaurant where this isn't like a restaurant. This is a big project going on, but there's some similarities there. Have you ever been to a restaurant and there's a waiter and they start bad mouthing the cook in front of you? Does that make you like that restaurant? It's like you're a fly on the wall. They don't really care that you're there. So if you have a conflict, shelf it. Don't make fun of your coworkers or in front of one of their employees, in front of any of them. Shelve it and pick it up again when you're in private. There's a time and a place, and people want to see a team that's operating good and well-oiled. They don't want to see somebody that's arguing at each other. And I've seen this several times on our migrations, where people get in it, not too bad, but, they almost act like husband-wife arguing. But if you guys could shelf it and save it for the MCC room, the more the better we'll be with that. So these are some things that people wrote on the form. So when I get a little quote up here and I then put them over here in little bullets, this means I just copied and pasted this from somebody's form. So let your beef out before the migration or save for the hotel or after the migration. So if somebody's giving you a lot of beef, somebody said, hey, why don't we try to save it for somewhere? I don't know where that happened, but you could look it up. Interaction with clients, operators, as much as possible, avoid click mentality where we box out operators. So it's real easy to just talk to other direct automation employees. We'll have about 15 of them there. It's very important to turn around, look at the operator, make a relationship with them, and smile with them and teach them how their new DCS is going to go. We're there for them, not for us. The quota guide is analyze your mistakes. You've already paid the tuition. You might as well get the lesson. So back to every once in a while I'll put in some quotes like that. Notes for everyone, role playing, accountability is everything. So we're starting to divide things up into roles within a migration to keep people accountable. If someone's not accountable, the next guy up the ladder takes the fall. So the project manager assigned to the project is where the buck stops. But the excuse train will start chugging along if nobody's accountable for this thing. They'll say, oh, I wasn't really accountable for this. And we're all going to have to shrug and say, yeah, I guess you weren't. And we'll have to go up the ladder. So we're going to have to stop that. This is the roles. Something doesn't work out with these roles, you're accountable. If something great happens with these roles, you're going to get credit. So let's do that. More accountability will set up better results because when you know you're accountable, you can prepare, you can get ready, you can take it serious. All right, so we got the excuse chain going. So here's the roles that we've kind of got set up right now, and these could expand or contract or sorts of things. Maybe you got 2 roles, that's fine. Maybe you got 5 roles, that's fine. As long as you can do them, do them. So you got server room set up, you got legacy rip out, so that's ripping out the old DCS and then inventorying it. You got the subcontractor management, and that's electricians. You got safety, you got food, hotel, break, supervisor. So somebody's gonna have to be in charge of keeping that cooler full and making sure the hotel's booked and all that stuff. Operator, expectation management. So you're going down and talking to operators, giving them the bug reports, training them, doing the operating room support, bug tracking. You have the IO checkout and the list. It's a pretty important one. We spend most of our time doing IO checkout. So the guy that's in charge of that does the list. There's troubleshooting. Usually the project manager is in charge of that. We got cleaning, cord management, tool management, and we've added one called upsales, cross sales, and sign-offs. That's also to manage expectations. Every job is a self-portrait of the person who did it. Autograph your work with excellence. This is your chance. People are going to know you're in charge of cleaning. Make it shine. People are going to know you're in charge of safety. Make sure that safety manager is happy. People are going to know you're in charge of operating rooms. Make sure the operators are happy. So this is your chance to sign it with excellence. So let's do it. So everyone else, if you don't have a role, you're sub-assigned. So when you're not busy, and when you're not busy with your role, you're a floater. All these roles got to get done, and a lot of these roles aren't one-man tasks. They're multiple people's tasks. So we all got to work together to get those done. The DCS manager holds the role leader accountable. So above all these roles is the guy that's in charge of the whole project. But the role leader is going to hold the sub-assigned people accountable. So there's going to be somebody like, let's say I was in charge of server room setup. So I'm going to have 2 guys probably under me, and we're all working to get all the PCs and servers set up. I'm in charge of these 2 guys. The DCS manager is in charge of me. So you got to know your role. You got to know who's in charge of you. That way you know who to ask, and you know how to go about that. Everyone else is a floater. Let's say at the time you go up there, we're up there 4 days, your task is done. Do you get to go home? Probably. You probably ask to go back to the hotel and get some Z's. That's probably okay. You go ask, you can go home. Most people are going to say, hey, is there anything else I can do? So they're going to go up to a different role. Does a different role need help? They're going to work and work and work until everything's all done. And I love that. And thanks for doing that. So please do that if you can. If not, don't feel bad about go back to the hotel if your role is done. So the DCS manager, role leader, sub-assigned, floater. Okay, so this is how they kind of float out. That's okay. So under the role of the DCS manager, we're going to split these up in roles, and we're going to go over each one. You got the assigned role leads. Roles have to be there on the days associated. Okay, so when you have, say you're in charge of server room setup, you can't show up on the 3rd day. You got to be there the first day. It's all going to be done the first day. It's very particular times you got to be there. If the DCS manager, if he accidentally assigns them the wrong way, the role lead should say, hey, I'm in charge of this one. There's no possible way I can do it on Wednesday. I got to be there on Monday. He should bring that up with the DCS manager. Set the standards, criticize, and compliment accordingly. So the DCS. So set the standard. You do have to criticize some people. All right, so you got to criticize some people. You're going to have to set the standard. You're going to, I don't know how you lead, what's your leadership style. You're going to have to compliment people when they do good. You're going to have to, set the standard, like show them that you're working hard, and sometimes people follow that way. Take note who took charge, who checked their work, those type of things. But mostly you're doing cool delegation type things. So if you send out this role list early, you're going to allow those people to prepare longer, and they're going to get the stuff done a lot quicker. So that's something that you want to really take seriously, is this delegation. I know a lot of people have been delaying that until the last 2 weeks, and some of these things take a longer time to put together. So if you could get these roles out early, set the tone early. Hey, I want this stuff done right. But if you tell them like 2 days before, the tone is all gone. It's all gone. Everybody says, well, I guess it's not that big a deal. We learned 2 days ahead of time. Who cares, right? Check the role leads work. Let them brag about it. If you fuss over it, they will too. So if you come in and say, "Oh man, that looks like shit," you got to clean that up a little bit. I know you're better than that. They're going to fuss over it. Oh yeah, man, that guy really likes that, so I'm going to make that happen. If you see something good, says, "Attaboy, you did a good job." The goal is to have it so you are only having to worry about the program working and bug fixes. Okay, so you want to set it up so that they watch this video, so that they have looked through all the things that they need, so they have asked all the questions before you get there, and so that when they get there, pretty much everything's working like clockwork, and the only thing you have to do is make sure your program works. That's the ideal, that's the goal. Monitor progress, be aware of poor work and delays. So get, when you're back at the hotel, how'd everybody do? Is everybody ready? What's your ETA? Is the bottleneck still the same bottlenecks? Those type of things. Assign the roles, the dates, the floaters, the travel. That's the form you send out. There's plenty of examples of that to send out. But that's your duty to send that out. Can't expect anybody to know what they're doing if you don't send that out. So here's some ones that we've gotten. There's a ton of them here that we've gotten from the form. So there's DCS management templates, assign roles. That's from, usually there's an acronym after the one if it came from a specific plant. A checklist to avoid procurement issues. So checklist of things needed, avoid points of failure, beware of data highway, third-party integrations, use global pushes and master blocks, weekly meetings, internet going out. Okay, so I'm going to let you read these, and all these are important. You just press pause and you can read through them. No sense me reading to them. Continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. What does that mean? Perfection never comes. So if you're just waiting for perfection, it's not going to come. So you might as well just get a little bit of improvement every time, and you'll eventually get there. So take the continuous improvement. All right, so test loops, directives prior to installation. There's lots of things in here that we can learn from. So there are a lot of things here. Read them up, press pause, check it out. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. Now, these are just ideas that people wrote down in the form, so they were just copied and pasted. Doesn't mean they're approved. There's something to think about. All right, somebody spent 60 hours on site, and this is something that they wanted to write down. There's no exercise better for the improvement of our world than reaching down on a daily basis to lift someone up. All right, so you read through these. Getting hardware on time, that was a big thing. We did a lot of overnight shipping. That was scary. Okay, dividing up into roles is a big improvement that we finally got a hold of. I don't want to lose that. If you don't know where you're going, you're probably going to end up somewhere else. That's a famous one. Here's a long one. Nature does constant value stream mapping. It's called evolution. We're doing it right now. Standardization. we've got to do things on the screen consistently all the time. There's no dumb ideas, even if you're talking about bug control, write them down. There are some names being pulled out in here. Don't be offended if it's a good or bad one. There's some without change. Bad spelling. Another one, making videos for training. All right, so this one is the last one on DCS Manager. All the just copied and paste. I just go through them so you can pause it. All right, so now we're back in normal mode. If you're in charge of server room setup, this is a picture of our competition's work. I hope to God we can beat that. There's fiber drooping over cabinets. There's a lot of unused space. It just looks like garbage. If somebody does this, I'm going to fire them. I'm just going to do it. I cannot leave something looking like that. And we've been doing an excellent job for the last year with a server room setup. So let's keep it up. The key is to plan it out. So you should have some pictures of the server room that you can know what type of rack it is, know what to bring, have everything there, because everything has to be done on the first day. That's a big time crunch, but there's still time to do it. You're not the bottleneck of normally. Usually the electricians are. Okay, so it's much easier if planned out. It's much easier the first day to do your cord management. You can always go back and do your cord management later, but that's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to take you a whole other day to do it. Take out all the unused things and box them up. And we're tired of crappy looking server rooms, right? So this is Homeland Energy's server room. It looks nasty. But anyway, this is somewhere where we didn't do a good job earlier either. We're changing our ways. We've done some continuous improvement. Now we're going to do it right. You should care, you should plan. Okay, so why is there big empty spaces everywhere? Why are we dividing it up into two cabinets when we could try to squeeze it all into one? Why are we going over the door instead of under the door like it should be done? Right? We want to be able to shut that door. How are we going to shut the door if you go take a wire right through the door hole? There's really tight cords and really loose cords and everything's flopping around. Ugh, empty random space. I don't even, this screen, they can just have a cart bring it in if it's just going to look stupid. If you have pictures and you know you're going to set it up, you should have some right-sized cords. They shouldn't be drooping all over the place. You should have something that, if you need a 3-foot cord, you should have a 3-foot cord. You shouldn't be using a 10-foot cord for a 3-foot cord. Those type of things. Make it look right. Got cords running on floors. Anyway, so this is one where we finally, Corn LP is when we finally said, hey, that's enough. We're going to try to do this. Awesome. So there's even some lessons here. So we tried to do this awesome. We came back. Why are we using shelves? Why don't we have rack mount PCs that look so much better? If we know these rails are here, we can have special mounting for them. So this is going to be in the back because you really can't plug anything in because it's the door's got to shut, right? I like that it goes, all these wires go off to one side. Sometimes we got them going all over the place. Have one off to one side, make it look pretty. Make sure the doors can shut. Let's make sure these cords look good when they're going in. Give them a little coil over it. The reason is, people do judge things on how they look. When the maintenance manager comes in here to look at this, he probably doesn't know everything about these servers, but you know what he does know? He does know what clean looking cabinet looks like. So before and after for our engineering. So this is the one we came in before. This is what Trident or ICM, sorry, they were an ICM client. So what they had, this is what they look like afterwards. So we cleaned up the whole room. There's, see how that stuff's sitting around? We cleaned that up. That's not there anymore. We make sure the doors can go on. We put everything off to the right. We label everything. So everything's got a label, not a little abbreviation like PP, poo, poo, poo. It's Pro Plus, App Station, Application Station even. If you spell it out, then when you give them a call, they're going to be able to speak your language. All the switches are labeled, everything in one cabinet. All this stuff over on this side is old stuff. You see this stuff over here? That's their old historian. These are their two old PIMS systems. If those ever come out, they'll be able to get rid of this whole cabinet. How awesome would that be, right? So that one clean looking cabinet, that's what I have in this room. So that's the goal with the server room. Also with the server room, this is something we just learned on our last shutdown. There's usually a little area upstairs, kind of looks like this. You should go up there on the first day, if you can, send somebody up there and organize this little rat's nest. The reason is because once they start the plant, it is impossible to start unplugging this stuff and plugging it back in to clean up this rat's nest. So this is the best you're going to be able to do. Granted, it looks a lot better than it did. It used to have stuff all over the floor. We got everything off the floor because you want, the idea is eventually they're going to want to mop. And if you got stuff like power supply sitting on the floor, that's going to detour them from cleaning. We don't want to detour them from cleaning. So get stuff up on a rack. Move all the cords around again to get them around in a singular coil. But even here we screwed up because we didn't do this till the last day. They're already starting up the plant. What can you do? You can't unplug stuff. You can't re-plug it back in, but we did the best we could. But our lesson learned is do it the first day. The style rack you do have is going to be good, important, because believe it or not, I think you can adjust these to fit in your telco racks. So we're going to try that out. So that way we don't put everything on a shelf. But that should save a lot of time, a lot of space in your rack. All right, so if they are a pie in the sky client, make sure you bring in that up. Also bring in the TV and mount the TV. This can be done whenever you have time. It doesn't have to be done on the first day. But confirm with the team that it's working properly as well. Call back and talk to Brandon or the Pie in the Sky team says connected. All right, KVM sucks. Can we use, and this is something that we've applied the last time we started using zero clients, thin clients. Or is there a graphic card that can just shoot off with Ethernet right away? But what we worked with last time was pretty cool. Splitter cords, right size cords. You don't use splitter cords for high amp things. You'll melt the cord out. But if you want to use a splitter cord for a monitor, that'd be cool. Train people on how to do hard drives and then check if those are good. Maybe you can upsell if you got one of those telco racks. Maybe you can upsell them to a real modern rack. It's only $1,000, right? So you just say, hey, how about I send you up a new rack for $1,500? And then you got a lot less to worry about with that telco stuff. There's a lot of things that aren't a bottleneck. So you are not a bottleneck. You are going on the same time as the electricians and the APACs rip and replace is going on upstairs. You shouldn't be a bottleneck. You should be able to get your task done and do a real nice, cool, clean job. So you have time for cord management, you have time for cleanliness, you have time to do it right, so do it right. needs to be done before checkout starts, especially the Pro Plus and App Station need to be plugged in and ready to go. The con setup, not so much. You can run without the operator stations, but you need that Pro Plus up and going. Must do, plan a draw and get it all drawn out. Cord management up front, put in video cards, etc. first before you get it all set up. Use the vertical silver column rails as a rip and replace. So there's even an idea. Okay, so this telco server rails are there. Let's pull them out and put in a different one. Keep the end in mind. It's got to work. It's got to be beautiful. It's got a few points of failure. You got to test it. Make sure those batteries work. You got to have it's got to be heat friendly, water out. If there's leaks or anything, you got to keep those in mind. Cord organized and everything labeled. And maybe you could even put together a short handbook for the customer that summarizes the cabinet when you're done. Nobody's done that yet, but it'd be cool. And here's little things that came in from our survey. Contact the IT lead beforehand is a good one that I didn't have. Map out the current IT situation before you go on site is also a good one. Says success doesn't come to you, you go to it. Okay, so the next role leader is the legacy rip out in inventory. You should care, right? So rip out as soon as possible. When you shut down, you should be working ASAP because you are a bottleneck. That means everybody's waiting on you. By the time you get done, electricians will go, and the electrician is the bottleneck. And then by the time they're done, then IO checkout can go, and then IO checkout is bottleneck. You have to know what you need to rip out. Some things very rarely have to stay in, but you do have to just be aware that maybe there's something in there that has to stay. A hardworking person in each cabinet, more skilled in harder cabinets. Common tools, make sure you bring the right bits, the right zip tie cutters, screwdriver, a knife, scissors. You're going to be cutting a lot of zip cords, and you might need a little Allen wrench to pull off some things and stuff like that. So have them ready. What you need for inventory, you're going to need about 20. You're going to be heavy duty, large ones. We like the ones from Lowe's, but you're going to need about 20 of them. A big black marker and inventory sheets. Those are on the U drive. Keep the end in mind. Undamaged hardware, accurate and easy to read, inventory in boxes. You got to be able to set the electricians up for success. Is it all out? Is it pretty? Is it ready to go? Boxes organized, not electrician's way, stored in a safe location. Don't put them by drain troughs or somewhere it's going to get wet. Seen that happen before. Be aware of cabinet's contents after your task. Heat friendly, water out. Email the customer the inventory list with an explanation of where you put the inventory when you're done and what you're doing with it. Do understand that sometimes we buy it right off the bat, so you might not have to do that. You might just say, okay, we bought this one. A lot of them nowadays are bought. Used to be that you used to remain the customers, but it's something you need to check on. It's kind of what it looks like. It's under U Business Development DCS shutdown forms. So inventorying doesn't have to happen while shutdown's going on. You can rip out everything and put it in a pile and then inventory in it. Reason why is because the electricians are waiting on you. And if you sit there and pull one out, then take your sweet time inventorying it and go back and pull out another one, it's going to take you a long time, and the electricians are going to be worse off for it. So if you could rip it all out and then inventory it, the better off you'll be. So just put it in a pile somewhere and then come back and inventory it and put it in a box. All right. These are the box needed. Tape to bring tape. We used to not even bring boxes. We used to just hope, they had a bunch of boxes and maintenance. You do need the double wall ones, otherwise they'll fall apart. Bring a clipboard, plenty of pens. You don't need to go searching for pens. There is one looking for a way to bring the CIOCs to make them quicker. All right. No thanks, we're too busy for a wheel, right? All right, so there's a role of subcontractor management. The reason this happens, and they're pretty good about it now, but early on, this is a bottleneck. This is something that's very important to get done. And what happens is it happens right after the rip out. The best electrician needs to go in the worst cabinet. Usually that's your analog cabinet. The worst cabinet's always being worked on. So if somebody goes to lunch, drop some other electrician that took a lunch right before him in there, so it gets done. Everything's waiting on that worst cabinet to get done. Offer to help, bring them drinks, supplies, compliment good work, criticize poor work as well. You're going to have to be like, hey man, you're not doing very good, you're not doing very fast or whatever. This has to be done the first day. Make sure that the right jumpers are with you and make sure they're tight. You have to go there and double check his wiring. So go in and wiggle it. Seems like every other time we end up with an electrician that doesn't tighten them in all the way. You will need to splice a few cords. Sometimes they won't reach. Just something you're going to be prepared for. But the electricians know how to do that. Keep the end in mind. It's got to work. It's got to be beautiful. A few points of failure, heat friendly, water out. Sometimes there's water that drips in from these places that have centrifuges on top of the MCC room. So you're going to have to be aware of that. Make sure the cord's organized and everything's labeled. Maybe a short handbook summarizes your cabinet and the bottleneck. This is a big bottleneck, so keep close supervision of this. You don't want them going home for the hotel room when you want to start checkout, because it's not going to happen until this is done. Plan ahead. So your toughest cabinet or your worst electrician will be your rate determinant factor. Okay, so that's usually the analog cabinet. And your worst electrician, usually they don't send too bad of one, but sometimes you'll end up with someone that's not very good. Make sure you're getting the best one in the worst cabinet. Press on the rip out. So the rip out guy is happening before you. You got to press on him. He should know that he should be setting you up for success, but you should got to ensure that you're getting set up for success. Go up to him and prod him. Hey, when are you going to be done? When are you going to be done? How can I help you? Get done. Those type of things. Don't let the hard cabinet stay empty. So make sure even when they go out for lunch, you're getting somebody in there. Okay, so think about it. You got a bunch of different beer cans. This is what this is about. You got a bunch of different canisters of beer, and you want them all to finish at the same time. Which one do you give the guy that can drink a lot? Well, you give the guy that can drink the 5 liter, the big one, and you give the one that can drink a liter to the small guy, right? That way they end at the same time and you get done. See, this project doesn't get done until everything is done getting wired. So you gotta plan it out right. Hardest cabinet prioritized. This is what came in from the survey. This is safety. Plan ahead. You should be talking to their safety officer a month ahead of time. They should have forms, certificates, everything that you have to do. You should have that done beforehand. Bring your toolbox forms, get them filled out, address any issues, heed any plant warnings. And most of the time, the clients are plenty safe. But remember, sometimes our clients aren't very safe. So make sure your guys, sometimes we'll be out there, and because we're in a place that doesn't regard safety very high, our guys will kind of start acting unsafe too. And you gotta be careful of that. Somebody might fall off a ladder or get hurt. It's not a good thing. Zip ties are a big deal. They use zip ties as lockout, tag out. You want to avoid that. Use locks, that type of thing. But if you see somebody doing that, respect those things as lockout, tag outs. But most of this work is done the first hour of the first day. So you meet the officer. He's probably going to have you go through a safety orientation training for the plant. He's going to have you fill out some forms, and then you're going to go out and work. But you got to do that a month ahead of time. You got to start talking to him every week. Send him an email, give him a call. Hey, how you doing? And then that'll set you up for success for the first day. So then you get that all done. Then you won't be all over your ass. There was one time the guy was all over our ass because, I neglected talking to their safety officer. Pretty much only called him twice that month, and thought everything was done. Get there, had to do a few things, no big deal. But then he pretty much harassed us all week. He's like, no drinks in the MCC room and all this garbage. It was a pain in the ass. So if it's just a lot of prep work and then a little bit of work on the day, and then make sure everybody's being safe, then you're done. Here's for food, hotel, and break. Plan ahead. You need to know everybody's schedule. You need to know what cars they're going to, what they're traveling in. Make sure everybody's communicating. Send out a text to everybody. Send out an email to everybody so people can easily reply all to. Be the liaison. Go around and say who's in test. Go back and say everything's going good. Sometimes you need an overnight shift. If things are going slow, we might need to do overnight. So maybe we work with the operators where one guy stays on to train them how to do IO checkup. That's been done in the past. It can be done again. Just got to make sure that guy goes up back to the hotel in the morning and gets some sleep. Try to detour drinking all night. It's pretty hard to do if we're ahead of schedule, but good luck. But yeah, no, everybody should not prioritize drinking this week. Okay, so there's one thing. People get tired of junk food all day. Yes, you need junk food, but bring some good snack food too. 40-hour shifts suck. Avoid them. Damn near ban them. What we are, what we want to be, a leap of faith. All right, for the operator guy, con set up, clean cord management, do all that stuff, talk to operators, train operators, handle the bug, help out with checkout at a station, train them how to do checkout, and handle bug reports and streamline that communication. So they're going to start doing bug reports, and you want to streamline that communication to the project manager. And then on the day of startup, you're going to do standby. All right, so it's easy to get in the way during this time. So when they start starting up the plant, back up, just be there if they need you, and help out when you can. But don't be interrupting them. This is kind of hold on loosely, but don't let go type of situation. The first 2 days you can be hard and heavy. That last day you got to back off quite a bit because they got to start up their plant. This role is crucial to plant satisfaction. You're kind of the guy that they learn to like, or that sort of thing. So pay attention to them. Don't make excuses. Double check bugs that are questionable with the plant manager. So if somebody gives you a bug report and they say this is terrible, well, you might want to go get it signed off by the plant manager before you send it off to the project manager. Communicate successes. Tell them, hey, they're done with the server room. Hey, they're done with the install of the hardware. We're ready for IO checkout. Communicate those with good enthusiasm. Here's what the example of the it's on the U-Drive business shutdown forms. Bug one. Anyway, there's also a shutdown memo for operators. You can email it to the operators. Just bring it. Cool things you can think of, training videos for the operators to train them how to use the DCS system. That'd be great. And review old bug reports of troubleshooting lead prior to shutdown to anticipate things. Another thing I see is we buy all these monitors, and they have these big bezels. Yeah, it's a quad monitor. It'd be really cool if we could shrink those bezels. Make sure the cord management under the desk, not on the floor. Those type of things. Training videos would be a huge continuous improvement item. If somebody could take the time to do that, I'd be very thankful. Here's an example of cord management failure I think of. Let me put everything behind here. The first comment I heard up at Front Range, I didn't even ask. I just in the room. He said, "Whoa, that looks complicated and messy. Don't touch that." Look at that thing. That's after we could fix it up the best we could. There's power strip, and then I tried to fix it up by putting splitter cords. We didn't have so many cords sticking out of it that this thing is just, it's impossible. These things have to go up and under the desk, out of sight, out of mind, that type of thing. If you can use these little cord coils, more of those type of things you can use, the better off you'll be. Other things, can you do some mopping, those type of things, or that's floor mopping. So you keep it off the floor for mopping. Also, so that they can mop. All right. So if you have all these cords on the floor, how are they going to mop? You wonder why places look dirty is because we don't enable them to clean them. So we can do that. Is there a way to put all these things in a modular box and then drill them up to the bottom of a desk? I think so. Operator meetings. So they have operator meetings usually at every shift change. So usually 7, 6 in the morning, and 7, 6 at night. Be there. Be there to, if they have questions. You don't have to. Obviously, you're not going to run the meeting. You just sit there. You stand there, and they say, "Hey, Direct Automation got a report." You say, "Oh, yeah, everything's going good. We're almost done." Just be optimistic and smile, and then ask for help. Say, "Hey, if there's anybody, you got anybody to spare for checkout, we appreciate it. Thanks." That's all you got to do. They're going to love it. Everything can and should be improved. Look for opportunities. By far, the worst scoring survey and the best area for improvement is training. We get a 2 out of 5. That's from our customers. Everything else, they got 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. We get 2 out of 5 from training. Got to start making some sort of SOP document, video training, anything for this prior to going on site. Then we get there, it's half done for us. Stay in the room but out of the way during actual startup. These are ones people send in. Bring new mouse pads, work on cord management. Okay, this is the biggest bottleneck is I/O checkout. Prepare the list ahead of time. This takes a day. Okay, you can't just show up and say, "Okay, I'm going to edit this thing." If the project manager hands it to you that day, I feel sorry for you. But you're going to have to add some columns. Don't delete columns, just hide them if you don't want them showing up. But add one for CIOC, area, junction box, filter by tag number, type. Don't delete columns. Don't delete rows. You just hide them. Just hide them that way. They don't go away. You might need them later, so just hide them. Send the list to the client to clarify instruments are working. So send this out like a week ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time. Say, "Hey, here's my I/O checkout list. Is there anything on here that you guys don't have anymore so that I don't have to waste my time looking for it?" That'd be awesome. So you do that, you're going to save the electrician a lot of time, you're going to save yourself a lot of time. The first wave is just fast and furious, and everybody's going to feel like a rock star, but you can just roll your eyes at them because it's pretty easy. They go through and they knock out the junction boxes, and they go through the easy stuff like firm alley, and they knock it off. That's great. Do it. Get it done. Second wave, these ones are the hard to get stuff. Day 2, there's going to be a lockout tagout stuff's going to be an issue. That sort of stuff. Get the operators doing the motors and the valves. Be careful of sieves. The seals there are trouble. There's also safety issues there. Be careful of big pumps. You can't run those dry. Those type of things, and warn the operators about that. They should know, but you should be able to say, "Hey, you gotta make sure these things are safe to run," that type of thing. The end of day 2 and the rest are shut down. Very, very hard to get tags. Eventually, you're going to have a list of about this long to hand to the plant manager to sign off on. You only check them off if the tag was good. If you clicked on it and it did what you said it was going to do, and it showed up on the screen, then you can initial it, and then that one's good. And then you can filter them out and hide that. But the thing is, don't just hide it, even if it didn't work. If someone says, "Oh, we don't have that anymore," just write in the notes, "It doesn't exist anymore," per maintenance manager. And then when the plant manager sees that, he's got a list of stuff that he can say, "Oh yeah, none of this stuff," and then he's got a list for his records. But if you delete that, you're robbing him from that. This is a crucial role to timing. Do not check off non-working I/O. He deserves a list of stuff that does not work and why, even if it does not exist. Assign tags list to people, makes them more motivated. Assign a person to communicate the operator's role. One list. Okay, so people make fun of me for this, but one list. You don't print off two of these. The reason is, print off two. One guy goes off and do it, and then an hour later, somebody else grabs the other list, goes off and does the same tags he did. He just wasted a whole hour, and you don't have time to waste a whole hour, so don't do that. Just one list. It also makes sure that the person that has that one list is accountable for keeping good notes. If you have two lists out there, maybe one guy's thinking, oh, he'll take good notes, and the other guy's thinking he'll take good notes, and then nobody takes good notes. It's actually better to have one. Update the list as necessary. You don't have to update it every two hours, but update it when it looks like everybody filled out a bunch of them. Then put in the notes. Maintain good walkie-talkies. It's a very big deal to have good walkie-talkies that can slow you down tremendously on the day of shutdown. This is an example of a list, area that's based off CIOC, tag, number, initial, only if good. And then they get their initial. Well, why do you get their initial? You don't want to check marks, because what if they have a weird note there? Well, how are you going to go find that guy? But you can hide the other columns. Hidden column for the junction box. Now, one continuous program programmer to put this on an app. If you did have good Wi-Fi or something in the plant, or cell service for real-time updating, but that'd probably save you a couple hours. Is it okay to be strict? Yes. This is a very large team of multi-skilled people. It's the longest task of the project. This is a very crucial role. You have to be assertive, concise, and quick. You can't sit there and sugarcoat, well, somebody's doing it wrong, and then think about it for 3 hours, and then go up to them and say, hey, I think you're doing it wrong. And get to the solution quickly. You don't have time to sit there and pussyfoot around about it. Go get it figured out. Set expectations early, and they'll understand. If you get on it early, say, hey, this is the way I want it, this is the way I want it, this is the way I want it. Do that early, then you don't have to worry about it progressing all day long. Operators need to be trained on motors and valves, so you're going to have to take them through. Do not overestimate their understanding of the situation. We've had people go out there and they said, is the bucket on? And the guy says, no. Okay, it doesn't work. Well, they're supposed to turn the bucket on, then turn the motor on, and then get going. So take them out there and do a few of them with them, and then watch them do a few if you're going to let the operators do it. Here's this one. Looking at your best friend and realizing that you both are fucking legends. Right? Label clipboards. There's a couple cool ideas here. Here's troubleshooting. Usually these are senior engineers. So if you got this role, lucky you, you've been trusted with some pretty cool stuff. You get the bugs from the operating room role lead. Making sure everything's hooked up. This can be high stress. It can be low stress. It depends on what's going on. Make sure clients sign off on decisions well before migration week if you can. Do not put this person in charge of much else. This person should be, if you're in charge of troubleshooting, that should be your only task. Okay? They'll get wrapped up in a problem. They'll ignore everything else. That's okay. They'll become unresponsive. And that's what happens. So do not put this person in charge of much else than troubleshooting, because they're going to be inaccessible. Cleaning, more important than you think. It's unimportant. It's not a bottleneck, and it doesn't need to be done, okay? It's not required. It's cleaning, all right? But for impressions, for that bragging, everybody bragging about it, it is very important. So clean more than necessary, not just around your DCS, but if you can clean around the whole room that you're in, it's going to make them feel much more important. Think about it. You just got a brand new car. Here's two of the same models. Which one looks better, right? Which one's your girlfriend going to jump in? the clean one. So makes them feel great about us. Operators love seeing us care. The big thing is smile when you do it, right? Bring a trash can, Windex, paper towels. You're going to have to clean some windows and computer screens. Bring some 409, a couple dozen rags, a bucket. You can use the bucket to carry the stuff, and then you're going to need some soapy water later. There's one thing that's been really good is the wall mop. It's called a quick mop or a flip mop. These walls have not been cleaned for a long, long time, and you make a hell of an impression if you go and clean that stuff. A feather duster is really nice to dust stuff up, and a really, really powerful vacuum. Right? Steadily raising one's levels of aspiration and expectation. Cord management. It's not really much of a role, but a champion. Go double check the servers, the DCS cabinets, the control room. Communicate while the installations are happening. So you'll have very little to work on. If everybody does a good job, you don't have anything to do. Very important for impression. Cord, you can make stuff look like a hot mess if you don't do right cord management. So do a good job. Right size cords, don't have them tight. Label both ends of the cords. Use as few cables as possible. Avoid trip runs and plug bumps. Run cords in groups. Don't run cords through doors or across equipment. Use Velcro tape to mount light hardware to walls. Hide cords in guards and coils. Have a list. Okay, here's tool management. Have a list of notes. Make sure it gets on the trailer. You should organize the trailer good. Have a spot for things so floaters can put tools back intelligently. Brent had a cool idea to use colored tape and then put that tape on the toolbox so every tool that's got red tape on it goes back to the toolbox with red tape. Those are smart, easy ways to organize things. Let's use those. You got to champion the tool management. So you have to hold people accountable and enforce tool checkout, those type of things. We don't check out tools here, but you want to, if you see somebody leave a tool around, pick it up, put it back, tell them to do a good job. Eventually it gets to an inventory management system where how many you have, how many you need, and the upper limit. So job box, there's lots of cool things to improve on here. Somebody's got the time to do it. Cross sales, getting them to sign off on things to get them to buy something else. Okay, they bought the DCS. Can they buy Pie in the Sky too? Can they buy Data Park? Can you help them out with alarm integration, more interlocks? Maybe they want sequencing or APC. Everybody's a salesman, right? So if you want to really impress somebody, maybe you can go up and sell something. How impressed would Paul be if somebody that wasn't a salesman actually sold this stuff? It'd be great. Let's do it. I know you guys do it. So what a good way to impress your boss. Off sales. Here's the lessons learned. We got to make sure people sign off on stuff. Here's one. I had a screenshot of somebody's HMI, Bushmills, and I put it on in a magazine. Right, so there was an article coming, and they said we need some pictures for this magazine by tomorrow. Can you give me a cool shot? So I grabbed a screenshot of something. Didn't know whose it was or anything like that, but I said put it up. Bushmills recognized that it was theirs. They weren't very happy about it. So so I've had to eat crow on that one. Those are the type of things we need sign off on, and I didn't have to throw myself under the bus there. But I want you to know that signing off stuff is important, from going down to the font to giving them before and after pictures to sending off the continuous improvement survey. All those things are pretty important. So, So just review: server setup, legacy rip out, subcontractor management, safety, hotel. All these things have to be done, and I think you guys are the right guys for the job.